Good morning. Okay. We're holding on Daf of Tess, Amid Base, 29D. We're holding by Havu Gavra. There were two of them here, so we're holding by the second one. The two of them? Yeah, there were two of them. It's, if you have a traditional Gemara, it's about 11 lines up from the bottom. Is that correct, Naftali? Okay. I thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's less about learning Hashem the base of Migdash immediately. Gavra. There was a person, the Shadlu Gittin the Bisu, that sent to get to his wife. Bisu is a wife. Amalei L'Shliach maybe comes from the word bias. I remember there was someone that called his wife, Rabbi Yossi called his wife my house. Something like that. In Yiddish, is that Aramaic?
As a joke, it's like I'm Sadie living in Bubby's house.
No.
Like a grandchild house. It's like, why are you living? Like, where do you live? It's like, oh, I live in Bubby's house.
It's funny. It's cute. Okay, so someone sends a get to his wife. Amalei L'Shliach tells the messenger, don't give it to her until 30 days. Don't give it to her until 30 days. So there's a messenger here. Tells the messenger, delay for 30 days. The messenger had something urgent that came up, and he couldn't make it during those 30 days. So the get never made it there. Asalakami the Rav, he comes to Rava. Rava says, Chala, if the messenger gets ill, time am I? Why is he allowed to give it to another messenger, make a shliach sheni, right? Another messenger, Misham Danis, because it was beyond his control. So we allow a second messenger. So Hainami Anasu, even though he's not ill, but something came up. So we'll consider it like an honest, and we'll make a second messenger. Amarle Masar Milach Kamedidan. Pass over the message to us in front of us. And after 30 days, we'll make a shliach and we'll send it to the sender again, which was the stipulation of the husband that it shouldn't reach her until 30 days. Wanted it to come after her birthday or something. I don't know. Well, I don't know exactly why. Amalei Rabbanan LaRava, but okay, Rava has this solution for this fellow that doesn't want to make it all the way to that city because something else came up, wants to go the other direction. And so the students tell to Rava, when can one messenger make another messenger? That's only if the first messenger is in the place of the husband to deliver the get. But this messenger is not in the place of the husband to deliver the get because he can't deliver the get until 30 days. So how's he making another messenger within those 30 days? Maybe after the 30 days, but within the 30 days, he's not really a messenger. He's not in the place of the husband until the 30 days are up. So how does he step in to be the husband? Shliach is like the one that sent him. When right now he's not really a shliach because he can't do it until 30 days. So Amalahu Kivan Labasa Tlasin Yamin Matzimagarish Kishliach Shnit Legershnu. Well, since after 30 days he will be able to deliver it. So we consider him already now as a shliach. He is a shliach. He just has a stipulation that he has to wait until 30 days. And since after 30 days, he's in place of the husband. So right now he can already delegate and designate another shliach, make a shliach sheni. The husband had this idiosyncrasy. He doesn't like to do things before the 15th of the month or something.
Oh.
I don't know.
Why she's divorcing.
For tax purposes.
For tax purposes, yeah, that's probably it. Okay, So Velecha Shema Pius, you should suspect that maybe when you're going to deliver the get after 30 days, maybe they made up. Now the problem over here with making up is that it turns into a get yashan. Maybe he appeased her and they had relations. And there's a problem with the get that was written and then they had relations and then it was delivered. What was the problem? We said that maybe it would look bad for the child that was conceived, that the date on the get would be prior to the conception. Now it looks like the baby was born from out of wedlock, which was not a good thing. So if you're going to delay the get for 30 days, maybe we have a concern over here of what came up. Maybe this occurred. Milay Tanan. Did we not study in a Mishnah? That if someone says, here's your get, if I don't return from now until 12 months, and then he died. Well, if he died, he's not returning. And so the get takes effect from when he gave it the first time. Now, there's no get before he dies. There's no get after he dies, right? After he's dead, there's no get. So here we're talking about where the get was effective already, as long as the condition is not violated, right? If the condition is met, so then the get takes effect originally. Now the only thing is we have a little bit of a problem. If he gave a 12-month delay between the writing of the get and when it takes effect, maybe during that time, maybe they made up, they had relations together, and maybe she's going to conceive, and it's going to create that whole problem if there's a 12-month delay. We're all in the middle of a long question here. And Rabba Bar Ravuna says, I think what he means is my father, and not someone by the name of Abba Mari. Rabba Bar Ravuna says that my father said in the name of Rav, my father, my teacher, said in the name of Rav. Because there is a person, I think, called Abba Mari. But here, Rav Huna was a great student of Rav. So Rabba, the son of Rav Huna, says that my father said in the name of Rav, see, what a person could do after giving his wife a get, could show up later and say, the get that I gave you is invalid because after we wrote it, I came and we had relations. And then he messes up his wife's status as being a divorcee. She's going to have to get another get. And now you want to get another get? Okay, so now let's make new conditions and new, bring up the old fights and start arguing. So this could create an issue. So what happened over here was that he says that if I would ever come, he tells the Bezdin, if I would ever come and try to invalidate the get by saying that it's a get yashan, you should know that you should believe her and not me. So he made he forfeited his right to ever say anything negative against the get that would ruin the get. So since he said that, so that's why we would trust the get like this. So in other words, Rav said that case where we can have a get that there was a delay in the delivery for 12 months was only when the husband made this, he forfeited his rights to ever contest the validity of the get. Now, if he didn't do that, then we should suspect that maybe there is a problem. So now it was a nice long question, but basically the question is, when he said that he's not going to, that the get should only take place, he should only deliver the get after 30 days, maybe
that alone is the forfeiture of the get itself, or
he forfeits his right to contest the get. So maybe the husband came and appeased her. Pious is appease, same like Hebrew and English. Maybe he appeased her, which means that they had relations. Ichsif, Rabbi was ashamed, was embarrassed that he said this statement, and really there's a problem with it. Because it could be that during those 30 days, rabbis were right. The husband could have come and ruined the get by having relations. Turned out that this was a get because she wasn't really married. This was a get only because of a betrothal. So now you don't have to worry about that. That he appeased her and they had relations. That's not a concern if it was only betrothed. Well, Amar Rava then responds, Imam ben Asua Yemer Barusa, you told me that I made a mistake, but that's only if the case would have been different. Turns out that I was really right. Not because he was right, but because the scenario was something that they weren't aware of. We had that a Gemara similar to that before, or actually, it's going to be a little later. Amru ben Asua Yemer Barusa. That's by it's in Hazayrik. Yeah. So over the 12 months, when usually we're not concerned about this. I forgot where I saw this. I saw this in somewhere. Maybe it's a Gemara, or maybe it's in the commentaries. That when someone sends a get from overseas, we don't have this concern that maybe they made up and they had relations because he's overseas. But over here, we don't know his travel plans. We don't know exactly what he did. He said he's going somewhere. It's not like he's in somewhere else and he's sending the get to Israel. And we said that it's going to be a valid get. Over there, we don't assume that they had relations long distance. So, but over here, we don't know his travel plans. He went on his trip, he came back, he didn't, Okay. Amar Rava says, what the question really should be is Kimashu best in Shliach Befanav or Shlei Befanav. Let's say the Besdin wants to make a Shliach Sheni. First person change his plans. He doesn't want to be the messenger that he decided. He was going to be a nice guy and go divorce the lady. Then he hears something, he's not going. He has to go and other important things came up. So the Besdin's going to make a new Shliach. Does the old Shliach need to be there when they make the new Shliach? Other Pashta, but then Rabbi answered it. He says, Bein befana, bein shlei befana. He doesn't need to be there. The Besdin can appoint a new Shliach. Sholchem Yisam, and they also sent from Eretz Yisrael, sent from over there, bein befana, bein shlei befana. Whether he's in front of them or whether he's not there, the Besdin can appoint a Shliach Sheni. They have to get a hold of the get. If they have the get, they can say, okay, no, we're sending it with someone else. Who the Amar? There was a person that said, okay, this is the first Gemara in Ksubas. This has to do with, do we say that if someone makes a stipulation and he's not able to keep it because of an accident, because of something that's beyond his control, do we say that it's considered like that the stipulation was met and we don't hold the stipulation against him because he was really trying his best? Do we see that he was trying? Well, there was a person that said, this is your get if I don't return within 30 days. So the get could be a good get, right? If he doesn't come back. But if for whatever reason, he doesn't want it to be a good get. So Asa, he comes running back. It's day 29. Paski Mabra, and he's waiting for the drawbridge to go down to cross. Mabra could mean a boat or a bridge. I'm not. What do they call it? What is a Mabra? A bridge?
River crossing.
River crossing. He's waiting for the river crossing, and he's standing across the river. A ferry. Yeah. Amar lahu chazu da'asai. He says, "See, I'm here. He's like waving his hands. He's like going like this. I'm here. The get should be batal. I'm a shmol leishmei masi. You're not here. If you're here, you have to get across.
Oh,
now, what is Shmuel saying? So Rashi gives us two pshat. One pshat is that there's no such thing as oines begittin. There's a get. There's a it's really oines betanai gittin. That's really what it's supposed to be. There's no such thing as oines means beyond control. No such thing as beyond control when it comes to stipulations of the get. There's no excuses.
No
excuses. The other pshat is that There could be excuses by a get, but this is not an excuse because you should know that the ferry is not always there. So you should have known to come 2 days earlier because the ferry, that's something that you should have thought of. So even though there are excuses, but this is not one of them. There was a person that said, now here the story goes probably something like this. She says, that's it, I'm out. You're a bad guy, and I'm out of here. So he says, no, please, I'm going to change my ways. He says, if I don't change my ways within 30 days, then this is your get. So he gives her a get. And he says, if you don't see that I'm a different person, I'm changed, so then you're divorced. He did everything, bought her flowers, did everything. And she says, nope, no, I'm don't accept. I'm Rav Yosef. Yosef says, that doesn't count. He didn't really appease her. Did he give her a tarkiv? I think it's 2 kav. No, trey, it's 3 kav. Trey ukav, I think. So a bucket, a 3 kav of gold coins. He didn't buy her a yacht. So he didn't do his best. So therefore the get's a get, right?
Women like material stuff.
I don't know. Did he give her the American Express Black, unlimited credit? So Ikadamri, some have this Gemara exactly the opposite. Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef says, Midi Tarkava the dinri by Lamesavla. He did everything that was normal. He got her flowers, he bought her chocolates, and what does he have to do? He has to give her three kav of gold. Okay, now we have 2 versions to the same story. It says Hakaman Damar Yeshainus Begittin. The second version is the one that says that there is a concept of excuses of beyond control by Gittin, and therefore he did everything that he could. The fact that it didn't work, so that's not his fault. He made a stipulation, but he tried his hardest. Okay, so it's the get should not be effective because he didn't actually complete the stipulation, but since he tried his hardest, and the reason why he wasn't able to complete it was because of an inus, it's considered like he completed it, and therefore the get won't be a get. Hakaman damar, it could go the other way also, but that's the case. Hakaman damar, and this is the first opinion that said that he didn't try his hardest. That's because ein inus begit, and they hold that there's no such thing as excuses by a stipulation of beget, and therefore we look at it like he didn't try his hardest.
So you kind of wanted to invalidate the get.
He wanted to invalidate the get.
Student not doing his homework.
Yeah, that's just a model for all of life. The professor says it's like a student not doing his homework, but
Yeah, my control. Dog ate the paper.
yeah,
Computer got lost.
we're all students. I know we're all giving excuses for different types of things, but not the homework.
Didn't get the class.
Right. Okay. Start a new discussion over here. New topic. It's gonna feel like we're changing the sectus for a few days. Hamal v'mayis esakayin esalevi v'esani l'ismafresh aleim mechelkan. Someone lends money to a Kohen, to a Levi, to a poor person, and he makes up like this. He says, look, I have a way of getting the money back, so don't worry about it. Here's the money. And I have a field. Now, when I separate my truma, I'll give it to you. Theoretically, I'll give it to you.
It says lends though. So he's assuming he'll get it back.
So 1 second. He says, I have this field. I'm going to separate truma. But instead of actually giving it to you, I'm just going to sell it to someone. And the money that I get from that sale will be, I'll sell it to a Kohen, of course, because it's going to be sanctified. No one else can eat it. So it's priced. But that money will slowly pay me back. And so don't worry, I got them. Then he lends money to a Levi. He says, don't worry about it. The meiser that I separate, I'll just keep it. So I'll be paying myself back. He lends money to a poor person. He says, don't worry, I have to give meiser anyway in the third year and in the sixth year. The meiser sheni, instead of going to Israel, not to Israel, instead of going to Yerushalayim, in Yerushalayim goes to the poor. He says, instead of that, don't worry, I'll just keep it. And then I'll pay myself back. So, we don't suspect that maybe these fellows died. And now, what do you mean he's giving it to them? They don't even exist. Right? How's he taking back? Because he has to give it to a real person. Well, the heirs, the inheritors, don't necessarily have to agree to this, because inheritors that don't have actual property don't have to pay back their father's loans. So there's like a little bit of a funny situation here. Regarding the heirs, you could say, I can start giving my mice to someone else, and I know that you can't pay me back, but because you don't have to pay me back, because you don't have property that you inherited from the father. But if you want, I can also I can give it to you and you pay back your father's loan that you didn't really need to.
But Cohen and Levi don't ever pay the person who's basically getting meiser, right?
Well, he's giving it to them, and then he's just taking it back as a payment. We're going to discuss. The Gemara's going to discuss how did he really give it to them. He doesn't give it to them. He's going to somehow get. It's going to be as if he gave it to them and then. Well, we don't suspect that maybe they died, or maybe the poor person got rich. We don't suspect that he got rich. That's only in movies or whatever, dreams, people winning the lottery. Okay, Mesu, if they actually died, then you have to have this discussion with the inheritors. You have to tell them, look, I know your father's dead. You don't really need to pay back because you don't have a property that he left that we could collect from. But if you want, we could still do this because I don't have to. The malva, the lender says, I don't have to give you the meiser anyway. You're really not gaining anything by not agreeing to this. But you could agree to this, and I'll give it to you. I could give it to someone else. I'll give it to you and just take it back, and you'll be absolved from something that you never had to pay anyway. So he has to have that discussion with them. Maybe could be. It's a loan. It's a loan, and he's going to take it back. Yeah, we're going to say it's really talking about 1 year's time, but whatever it is, yeah. Imhilvan b'fnei bezdin. If the loan was given in front of bezdin, then you don't have to go to the inheritors, because what the bezdin can do is the bezdin can say that since we want that people should lend Kayanim and Levium money and not be concerned that they won't get it back. So what we'll do is we'll institute that even though you're going to give the meiser to a different Kohen, that's going to be on behalf of this Kohen, and you'll be able to take it back. So in other words, on behalf of all the Kohanim, the meiser is being given to the other Kohanim on behalf of this person, so that it will encourage people to lend money and not be concerned that maybe he's going to die and never get it back.
Until this year, I thought that the truma that goes to the Kohen had to be given to Kohanim.
Yeah.
We just learned that it can be sold Is that correct?
No, it's given to the Kohen, but the Kohen can sell it. The Kohen can sell it on the Kohen market, which would mean that only other Kohenim are allowed to eat it.
But what this person is in fact saying then is, I'll sell it for you.
Right,
It's as if I gave it to you and you sold it, but I have the money.
exactly.
Okay, okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing that the Mishnah is going down into the reality of like what the real, what it really looks like, you know, when it comes to Chumas and Maasros. There's the business side of like what's really going on. There's other things. It's not just so simple that the Kohen shows up with his basket and you put it in there, he goes home and he has food for 3 weeks. Okay. Afal Gav, the Gemara says, what's going on? It never even reached the Kohen's hand, the Levi's hand. How did this happen? Right? So Amarav, Makiri Kuna Levia, we're talking about types of a type of situation. This person is in close contact with a certain Kohen or a Levi. Why? Because it's his brother-in-law or it's his son-in-law or something. And he would always give to this person anyway. Since he would always give to them. So it's as if he's given it to them. He doesn't really need to actually transfer it over, because if there would be a Kohen in a family, like a son-in-law or something, a brother-in-law or something, maybe that was like, Kohenim didn't even think of getting from that family because it was already given over to this.
So once the Kohen has received it, can he sell it to anyone, or does it have to be eaten by a Kohen?
He could sell it to anyone, but no one can eat it. So he's selling, whoever he's selling it to.
So it has to be consumed by a Kohen.
Consumed by a Kohen. There may have been a broker, Shuma broker, that would do this. But yeah. So the first answer is that no other Kohenim were expecting this, because there was a family member or someone that they were close to that would always go there, always get the truma or maisa. Shmuel Amar b'mezakalem al yedei acherim. Shmuel has another answer. He says what he did was he took the truma and maisa, he handed it over to a third person, and he said, "You acquire this on behalf of the Kohen so and so, on behalf of Levi so and so, and then just hand it back to me." Ula, where are we? Ula Amar Hamani Rabbi Yaisi. Ula says it's Rabbi Yaisi. Damar Asu She'ena Zeicha Kazeicha. Ula says that the Bezdin, or the sages, instituted a bunch of cases where people that haven't really acquired something, it's as if they acquired. Like an example could be like this: there's a person that's harvesting olives from a tree. So he goes up the tree, he shakes it, and the olives fall down. By the time he gets down, someone had come and taken all the olives that he worked for. So they said that even though he didn't actually acquire them, maybe it's taken from a tree of Hefker or something, Paya, I don't know. Maybe even though he didn't acquire them with some sort of lifting or what you're supposed to do, but it's as if he acquired them. So the sages gave over certain rights to people.
So the other guy stole.
So it's considered the other guy stole. So you can't take it. There are other things where there's other examples of. Yeah, similar to a yad, exactly. Yeah, there's a bunch of examples for this. That's the opinion of Rabbi Yaisi that the sages instituted this. So here also, what we're saying is the sages instituted that even though the person didn't acquire it, it's as if he acquired it. Now, why did the sages institute this? To be able to allow the person to get repaid, make it easier to lend Kohanim money when they need, or Levium money. Well, Kulu Karav Layamri, all the sages, Shmuel and Ula, they didn't want to say like Rav. The Makir like Katani, the Mishnah didn't mention that we're talking about Makire, that the person has a son-in-law that's a Kohen. We didn't mention that. Shmuel like Amri, B'mazaka like Katani. We never mentioned that there was a third person in the Mishnah. We didn't say that he's giving it to someone else acquired on behalf of so-and-so. and then give it back to me. We didn't want to say that the Mishnah is just the opinion of Rabbi Yossi. It says that we institute all these different decrees. We wanted to say that it goes like everyone. And so therefore they said that it was talking about a specific scenario. Tanu Rabbanan. But in a Braisa, Malva Moyes as a kain vesalevi vesani lias mafshnei mechelkan mafshnei mecheskashen kayamen. Someone lends money to a Kohen, to a Levi, to a poor person, that he's going to pay himself back by taking their portions of what he's going to give them. So he can separate those portions and assuming that they're alive without any problem. And then he makes up with them that what's going to be the value of the produce, make up with a cheap price, which means that it's going to take a certain amount of time for him to get his money back. Sharazal, a cheap price on it. The aim by Mishum Ribis. And if the price changes, because he's lending, when he's making up the price when he's lending the money. The produce hasn't even grown yet. So this is futures. Officially, when it comes to a sale, you're not allowed to sell like this. You're not allowed to buy you make up a theoretical price for what the produce is going to be, and then when it comes in, you may end. What you would do is like this: you would give money now to the seller, to the field, the person that owned the field, and then you would end up getting more produce when it came because the price. You would end up getting more expensive produce than the money that you paid because you bought it for a certain amount per bushel, per saw. And it turns out that it was more expensive. So what you really did was you lent money and you get back interest. It wasn't a sale, it was a type of lending. So that's a problem when it comes to a sale. But over here we say that even though he's making up of what the price is going to be per bushel, even the price could change, he's going to end up getting back more. It's not a problem. It's not a problem in this case. It could be, right, because of inflation. It's not really ribis. And we're going to see in the Gemara why. It's very interesting.
Because all prices rose, so it's really the same.
Yeah, but he's getting back more.
Money puts the same number of cucumbers.
He's getting the same number of cucumbers, right?
Same value in sense of eating. You get 3 cucumbers, and now they're worth $1 each instead of 2 cents each. It looks like ribis, but it's in money terms, but still in real terms, it's the same number of cucumbers.
Right. Yeah, but you see, it's considered ribis rabbinically.
Right.
And there was an interesting Chazon Ish that spoke about if we wouldn't have had currency, if we would just be bartering, just bartering, so then all the halachas of ribis would have changed. Because a lot of the halachas of ribis apply specifically because we're giving it a currency, and then we're going back to, and because we convert it into a currency. Yeah, if we were just bartering, so then things would have been different.
It would still be ribis, no? Like I'm giving you 3 cucumbers, and you're going to give me 3.5 back.
Yeah, but if you would give me 3 cucumbers back, it would be fine. But if you now there's a problem of I'll give you 3 cucumbers in this season, and you'll give me back 3 cucumbers next season. That's problematic because those cucumbers next season could be there was a drought. There's really no cucumbers. Those are priceless.
Most time cucumbers were ever said.
What did I just see yesterday? Ribis is interesting. Oh yeah, that's what I saw yesterday. Apparently, there's a shortage of lychees. Yeah. Because of the lychee mite. But anyway, I took my class to Homestead yesterday, Fruit and Spice, and then we went to Robert's. Yeah.
Right.
$100 for 10 pounds of lychees.
Goodness, Professor, let's go out on the street
No, no,
for selling
So,
lychees.
but that's because you converted it to money. This economy that you designed, there's no money.
The money.
So this is
Right.
scarcity. It's a scarcity. It's still, you only have 5 lychees next year.
Right.
You eat them once
It's
a
an
year.
auction for 5 lychees.
So people will offer you more cucumbers for those lychees.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, there's no ribbis. Vein shmias mishamatze, and then shvias, Shemitah doesn't push this off either. You know, usually Shemitah comes around and they don't have to pay back. It absolves the debt. But Shvius over here doesn't absolve the debt. We'll have to see. The Gemara is going to explain all of this. And if he decides to change his mind about this whole arrangement, he can't change his mind. Let's say the owner of the field that lent the money says, what a shame, I lost it. My whole debt, I lost it. I'm not going to be able to get it. And then somehow it turns out that was a mistake. He's really going to, he thought the field was lost. And he says, I'm never going to get my money back. He's not concerned about his own loss. So he says, oh, that guy's not going to pay me back. That hurts more. That someone else got some money for free. So, ein mafresh aleim, then it's too late, because once he gives up on getting it back, then he can't then return and collect it. If you say mafresh ala avad, you can't return and separate these shumas and maisras, and then take it back after you've already given up hope of ever getting it. Amar Mars. Now we have to go back and discuss all the things that we learned in the Brisa. That's what happens. They quote a Brisa, and then the Gemara analyzes it.
Is a lesson, don't despair. Don't give up on a loan.
No, lesson is just sometimes you do. Amar Mar. Pesach Imayim Kashar Azal says he can make up with that with the price, that it's going to be a cheap price for the produce. Yeah, it's going to be a saw. What was the example that they used? Saw for a seller or something. I forget where I saw they have an example for it. Yeah, but it doesn't. It's not going to give fruit. It has the mites. So, pshita, it's obvious if whatever they made up. No, the Gemara says, what it means is that not if they made up the price. It means that if they didn't make up the price, it's as if they made up the cheap price. It would be the whatever the cheap price is. The ain by mishum ribis. There's no ribis. Why not? My time. Why is there no ribis yet? Could be they made up a cheap price. Then the price goes up, and then he ends up getting back more produce because he made up a size, not a value. He made up a size of what he's going to return, right? An amount. The amount. So he's going to end up getting more value than because of the same amount. Well,
Ribis is voluntary.
1 second. My time. What's the reason? Given the chilesle, since if he didn't have anything, he would not have to pay him back at all. This whole debt is only being paid back. Why is this debt being paid back? Because the person has, but if he doesn't have, he doesn't need to pay it back. He's paying himself back. But let's say nothing grew. And he said, I'm going to pay you back by the meiser for what I get from this year. Nothing grew. So there's no loan. So a type of loan that doesn't need to be repaid, when it is repaid, that's not considered ribis. Follow? Ribis is when the person has to pay back and there's no way out. And then you charge extra. But if you tell the person
That's interesting.
that if you pay me back, very nice. But if not, don't worry about it. And then the person goes ahead and pays extra. So that's not considered interest. At least that from what we're learning here.
Oh.
Well, it's not a loan if you don't have to pay it back.
It's not a loan, right? So here the person doesn't, since the person doesn't have to pay it back. Now, I'm not sure if it's a special takana here because of Kayanim and Levium that we want to encourage them to be lent to, we want people to lend to them, or if this would apply in other cases as well. Whatever the case is, we're not considering it ribis, at least in this case, because the Kayanim and Levium don't necessarily need to pay it back. If it didn't grow, they're absolved from it. So now that it grew, whatever, so it's not considered ribis if the price changed.
referral, the owner wouldn't have to type.
right? And the person wouldn't have had to pay. This guy walked away with $1,000, the Kohen. And the produce doesn't grow. So the Kohen sees the guy, says, I'm really sorry. Thanks for the $1,000, but
It wouldn't
I don't have to pay you back.
next year.
Well, he made up that it was the produce from this year. Hill is asking, what about if it's why doesn't he have to wait next year to do this? Because he made up that the produce from this year, produce from these 2 years or whatever. The Shemitah doesn't absolve it from as a debt, because we don't consider it layigash. It says that you should not. How do they translate layigash? You should not go after oppress. You should not oppress the borrower to get the money back after Shemitah.
Exactly.
You should not exact it. So this is not considered exacting it. This is not considered oppressing him. And if he changes his mind, he's not allowed to change his mind. Number of Papa, where Papa says, that means that the Balabayas can't tell the Kohen that, I changed my mind, I want you to pay me in cash. But if the Kohen says, you know what, I have the cash, in he is allowed to change. The Tanan, it was taught in a Mishnah, we taught in a Mishnah, if someone gave money and he didn't take the fruits yet, so you can still retract just because he paid for it. Until you actually take the items, you could change your mind. So too over here, the lender gave the money to the borrower. The borrower says, originally he says, I'll pay you back by the tithings. You'll just keep the tithing. And then he says, no, I'm actually just going to give you the money back. That he's allowed to do because the owner has never taken the tithings yet. So he can just return the money. It's not considered like the deal was done. Okay. If the owners gave up hope, then he can't continue to separate. The owner of the field can't continue to separate the tithings and take them as a repayment because you can't collect on something that was lost already. Shita, this is obvious. What's really happening over here is that there was a little bit of growth that was taking place when it some growth. There was already a little bit of growth. It already akan means it's already was growing canes. It was already growing stalks. I could have thought that maybe Mao de Tema Akna Milsa could have thought that maybe it's not a real loss. Maybe that is something Kamash Malan that he considered it a loss. He considered it that he gave up hope, and he can't then go and say, "I'm now there was really something there, and I'm really taking it back. I didn't really give up hope." No, he gave up hope, so that's considered like he forfeited his loan. Yeah. Tanya was taught in a Brayso. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Aimer. Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov says, we've said that Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov is the halachas like him. Hamal v'mois esakayin v'salevi bebezdin. Someone lends money to a kayin and a levi, and he lends it to them in front of bezdin. Umesu, and then they died. So mafresh aleim b'cheskos shevet. He can separate on behalf of the whole tribe. The same thing applies if he lent money to a poor person in front of a bezdin and then he dies. The borrower dies. So when he separates the tithing to the poor, he separates it on behalf of all of the poor of Israel, and he can still collect it back. Yeah. Same thing with the Levi. Same thing. Yeah. there's a slight difference between the Kayanim and the Kayanim Levium and the poor person. Because the Kayanim and Levium and the poor Kayanim and Levium, what he does is he separates it on behalf of the relatives that would have inherited the debt, and then he takes it back, and the best and institutes that he's separate on their behalf and then just recollect it. But for the poor person, he can't separate it on behalf of their relatives, because maybe the relatives aren't poor. And then when he's separating the Maisa, he can't give it to them. Maybe they're wealthy. So he separates on behalf of other poor people in Israel, and he collects it back on behalf of the repayment of this other person. That's instituted by the Besdin. Why? Because it's good for the poor that people should want to lend them money. So they instituted this, that it should be recollected. Otherwise, people will say, well, how do you know you're going to pay you back? Okay. There was this guy in it's like a funny guy anyway. He's Moshe Reichman at a wedding. So he tells him, says, can you lend me $10,000? So he says, when are you going to pay me back? He says, when you need it. Okay. So, yeah, that's not always a joke. Sometimes the things go up and down, you know. Okay, Ravachi Aimer, Becheskas Aniya Yoilam. Not Aniya Yisrael, but Becheskas Aniya Yoilam. It separates on behalf of the poor of the whole world. My Benayu, what's the difference who he's separating on behalf of? It could be Benayu Ani Kuti. The difference is if it's Kutim. Why? Because if there's no Jewish people in the city, but there are Kutim in the city. So if we consider Kutim as considered as Jewish, so turns out that the machlekes over here is, do we consider them Jewish?
Not always the case.
So how would we fit this into the words? The Tanna Kama says that they're not Jewish, and therefore you have to separate the tithing on behalf of other Jewish. You can't give the tithing that goes to the poor goes to the Jewish poor. So you separate it on behalf of other Jewish people that aren't even in your city. Ravachi says that the Kutim are considered Jewish, and you separate it on behalf of them, and he calls it Aniyei Olam. Even though in this city where you are, there's no Jewish people, there's only Kutim, but since the Kutim are Jewish, so he calls them Aniyei Olam. Yeah, I would have said it a little different. I would have thought it would say, everyone says Aniyei Yisrael, and there's a machlekes if Kutim are Yisrael or not. But anyway, it didn't use that language.
I guess it's trying to deal with the issue of the order, the priorities of tzedakah.
Yeah, that could be.
How do you get to the kutim?
Yeah. Okay, it says Hesher Ha'an. Oh, we should stop over here. Let me just get to the two dots. Hesher Ha'ani. If the poor person gets wealthy, so then in Mafresh Shalav, you can't separate for him. The Zachalav Masha Biyadai, and the Leiva doesn't have to pay back. Unbelievable. This whole arrangement was because he was poor and he would get paid back, but now he can't give him the Meiser. He has to give it to someone else. And so he doesn't have to pay back either. Rabbanan, and according to the Rabbanan, Maishna, Lemisa, David Takanta, Maishna, Lashir, Slayavet Takanta, there's a problem over here. Because when it came to the person dying, they said, okay, don't worry, we'll separate it for other people that are still alive. That way people will want to lend to the Aniyim, to the Kayanim and Leviim, they know they'll get the money back. But if the poor person gets wealthy, they didn't institute any correction over there that he should be able to get his money back. Why for death did they institute a corrective way? And for the poor person getting wealthy, they didn't. Gemara says, Misha shchicha, shir slei shchicha. Well, people die, but it doesn't mean that they get wealthy. It's more common for people to die than to get wealthy. Yeah. Amar Rav Papa says, Hanedam Riinchi, that's what people says, Chavrach Mis, but Isher, Chavrach Mis, Isher. If someone tells you that your friend passed away, Chas v'shalom, you should believe him. But it's Asher, if they tell you your friend became wealthy, let's say Asher, you shouldn't believe him. Because that's less probable. Okay. Simon B'Taif. Everyone should have a good Shabbos.
Shabbos.